In a jam. Jam did not laugh after she struck her enemy like a gavel. The sharp crack of justice could suck the bated breath out of the most hardened men, knowing they'd be stuck in shackles and chains, as a ghost, trapped between two worlds, with the word guilty, never again to boast of their exploits, never be heard on the outside of prison walls. Her would-be captors were now cured of their lust. Their small, swollen balls may never work again, but they would breathe and see still. Hidden halls of the psyche came out to play, when the law's long arm was not seen. But Jam acted without delay, debilitating them with clean hits to the knees, throat, groin, and eyes. Those enemies were base and mean, detestable. She heard their cries as she walked on, certain they'd think multiple times on the surprised brutal strength unleashed on them. Think on the deadly force hid behind beauty. They would forever link the two. Shaman warned of their kind. Uncivilized humans shunning order and discipline. They'd find her, Shaman said. They were cunning in spite of their appearance and behaviors, which were both stunning. When encountered, she'd understand. She did. She found she could not kill them. Such creatures without command of themselves did not fight well. Still, they were strong and tough, but could not fight, lacking training that let skill and talent develop. A dot of light moved across the night sky. The fast lights were easy to spot, moving on a straight line course high above. Jam knew of the modern age. It was her desire to pry open their lost burial urn and put the pieces together, to discover, to learn and earn a perspective on the tether connecting her time with the end age of the moderns. Her leather gloves, cut off at the finger end, had splatters of blood from the fight. Those years of training to defend and devastate paid off this night. Disappearing into the bend of Earth's horizon, the small light dot twinkling good night could not send reams of data to satellite receivers ever since the end. But for centuries its small light, spurring creative stories, found a warmer place fixed in the sight of listeners sitting around campfires, sharing laughs, food, and drink, immersed in smoke and crackling sound. Jam sat back, unable to think beneath the light of Milky Way. On the verge of this night's last blink, she sat up bolt straight, as a stray light glided curiously low across the sky. She had to stay awake now. It moved much too slow to be a falling star. Too big. And she was really tired. No sleep tonight. She took a deep swig of creek water, her lips kissing the creek's cool surface. With a sprig of mint on her tongue, dismissing thoughts of lost sleep, she walked on, fast. There was no way she'd be missing this thing that just went flying past in the night sky. Jam walked a full year plus 2 cycles in the vast wilderness. Nothing else had pull like this thing, clearly the object of her quest. With no need to mull over course, she could direct all effort into tracking down where the silent light would be wrecked as it fell. What goes up comes down. That thing was up and was coming to meet the Earth's biotic gown. This really got her heart drumming. To 51 she could not go any more. Her heart was strumming a new tune. The valley below stretched on for years, and the skylight traced a course south she would follow until she found it. Yes, tonight was the beginning, the advent of adventure. Euclid's flight over the 40 days of Lent took him past planets and moons, through space and time forever bent by matter's mass. John and Gear drew near their final destination, as Dunglac and Martel stayed true to their course. Not a vacation, rather a pilgrimage with friends, using starlight navigation. Each journeyed far beyond the ends of where their hats and work clothes hung. following the path that extends to lands of foreign lip and tongue, on a planet lush and remote, floating in space in a far-flung swirl of countless stars all afloat in a bright galactic milieu, surrounded by a deep, dark moat, against which space and matter drew together to form Milky Way, within which the thoughts of man grew, as now the eyes of molded clay look up for the constellation that will guide them along their way. Gear and John. I think I'm nearing starvation, John. Molasses and coffee, gone. We're next for elimination, said Gear, his humor bright as dawn. Gear, look ahead. It's a palm tree. And the closest thing to a lawn we've seen in days, John said with glee. No, it's just an elaborate mirage. I'm looking but don't see nothing but sand and desperate hopes, said Gear dully. Well, look again, said John with deliberate calm. Having no desire to look, Gear kept his gaze down at his feet. Sensing Gear could not be shook from his dark, sullen mood to greet the green oasis with a glance, at least, John kept silent. Their feet were blistered and sore. Their advance toward the 51 now felt like it was more given to chance rather than a certainty dealt to them by destiny or fate. And they were famished. Leather belt was next on the menu to sate their bellies. This stretch of the trail summoned them to capitulate to the real limits of their frail human bodies. Water and food were scarce. They were no longer pale, the sunlight bringing out a good, healthy glow. Refuge from the heat of the day was akin to wood stacked next to a hearth. No retreat. The only quarter is the flame. Smelling what was known as mesquite barbecue, hunger overcame John. A craving for meat, protein, sustenance that will help reclaim his vigor. He was beyond lean, near skeletal. The cherry pie made him salivate. The pristine countertop, booths, stools, and bow-tie soda boys threw him for a loop. She asked him if he'd like to try a mug of root beer with a scoop of fresh churned vanilla ice cream. He asked, "Why stop with just one scoop? Make it a double. Your ice cream and root beer treat is on my dime." "Sorry, kid, only in a dream, and that pickup line is a crime." Trinity was on her name tag. "Well, Trinity, I've a rhyme for you." "You're sure trying to drag things out. Tell you what, it's a slow day. The big boys are out at the drag strip. I'll hear your rhyme." "And its glow was brighter than the sun at noon. Death will mushroom and power will grow on a warm, lazy afternoon, as atoms split and then explode. From the desert, bleak as the moon, blow unheard whispers of man's ode, as you sip lemonade and swing on the front porch of your abode, ensconced within the fiery wing of the unholy Trinity, waiting, quiet, for it to bring the bold king to his destiny." "Al! Kick this kid out! He's a creep!" With a spatula, Al came to see what the problem was. "You the creep?" "That's him, Al. First, he tried to treat me to a float, and then the creep came out to play. He went from sweet to freak faster than I could blink. This is my diner, kid. Now beat it, you slimy little rat fink, before I throw you on my grill and cook you like a sausage link." "You know what, Al? You're a real pill. I come in for some good mesquite, while my fastback Stang gets a fill and change. I toss some coin to treat this chick to a root beer float, and you're going to kick me out to the street? Where's your class, Al?" At that, a band kicked on from the glowing jukebox, singing a classic song that spanned miles of blacktop and gravel rocks from Chi-Town through the Heartland Sticks to L.A. and the Ocean Packs. Through Dust Bowls and the road trip fix, Americans and many more got their kicks on Route 66. John woke himself up with a snore and an inexplicable taste for smoked meat. That was quite a snore, Johnny Jukebox. What? You don't waste words, do you? Huh? You don't remember? I just woke up. I'm still erased of where I am. You'll remember when you hear this, said Gear in blithe regard. Fitting like a member into a young, bright-eyed, and live body, the heart began to beat sound, rhythm, bass, then words that rive with primal confidence, the heat of a sultry summer, a free spirit with unencumbered feet dancing in the moonlight, hazy and hot. John was dazed and confused. His dream a haunting memory from his food-deprived sleep, infused with vivid detail. Swarms of flies welcomed them as guests and refused to leave despite their swats and cries. There was a palm tree, cactus too, and a set of mischievous eyes with a smile that both hones and true. Will Rogers' lasso cast in bronze, spinning like a tire, racing through countless centuries where the Fonz looks out of place but still so cool. The oasis bypassed round John's hopes. Some desert fare and a pool of water and some shady rest. But what they got made them both drool. They left the trail at Gear's behest, despite the urging of the heart, to stay on course, regard their quest. All hot and bothered for his part, Gear stuffed it back into his bag with enough force to make the heart beep. The thing could be such a nag. John smirked, feeling the same as Gear. This piece of tech they had to drag across the land began to wear thin on their nerves. Go this way, go that way, do this, do that, go there. It was strange that this thing could know where to go. Did it possess thought? After the bridge, travel was slow across the Ozark Hills. They bought supplies on the cheap. Renfrey's reign was done, and the land was now fraught with lawlessness. Survival, plain and simple, was the rule. No king, no structure, nothing to restrain the primitive nature lurking in the citizenry of Gate City. They felt it was jerking them around just to irritate them. They wanted to go explore, and it was just hard to relate to the heart of the modern's core, a nearly disembodied voice they'd never even met before, this jaunt. They wanted to have choice, and they could blaze a better trail than anything the beeping voice could command. The head of a trail came upon them with wooden signs, each pointing down a dusty trail, fading off into distant lines. The names were strange, but had a ring of far, ancient, modern designs, for quiet centuries biding their time. Chicago lay behind them, slow miles of midnight striding beneath bright, distant stars, assigned direction, time, fortune, and fate, depending on your frame of mind. St. Louis, the arch, and the gate beyond which rises the Wild West, and a vastly different state of mind. Young birds leaving the nest. They were at a literal fork in the road, not feeling hard-pressed about their choice. Back east, New York City was over 2,000 miles away as the crow or stork or whatever flies. 1,000 more miles jeered at them from the west. Either fork they took 1,000 miles taunted them. There was no rest. So Gear said, "Screw it. We'll just hike to the left and let fate digest our choice. Besides, I kind of like the name of the town down that way." "Roswell?" said John. "Doesn't strike a chord with me." "Well, let me say, John, it's no ordinary place." "Go on with what you're going to say," John said with a nebulous trace of curiosity. "Roswell. It used to call mind to mind a face not of this world, like a strange spell cast over minds, seeking truth out there. Something strange fell from the sky, and with it crashed doubt. The heavens, stars, and outer space were part of a celestial route, of an unknown alien race. We weren't alone. There were other minds out there, possessing a trace of intelligence, no other creature on earth had. Could we talk with them? Relate to another mind, seeking answers? But a stalk of confusion grew, obscuring the truth and erasing the chalk on the board. They were securing the truth of what crashed on the ranch. The government was ensuring that what they purloined from that ranch would become what's classified top secret. The military branch put out an initial UFO story. It went beyond just top secret. There was no need to know among the citizenry. Those who witnessed the whole fiasco were pretty much told to just close their eyes to what they think they saw while the feds went on to dispose of the evidence. But a flaw in the official government cover-up gave researchers something to gnaw on over a hot midnight cup of joe while the world is asleep. On a hot desert night, or up north where the nights are long, cold, and deep. There were strange times back then, John. Strange times. I spent 3 years front lobe deep studying the entire range of the modern Anthropocene. I couldn't help but to estrange myself from what I had once seen in my mind's eye as intrepid and scrupulous. They were obscene and corrupt times. Brilliant, with a rapid growth like an atomic mushroom cloud spreading over a vapid existence woven with a loom by the hearth under the candlelight. Emerging from a metal womb in the aftermath by the light from electrons freed with a flick in facilities out of sight were computers and robotic workers proliferating like Abraham's seed. The atomic age obliterated the dike that kept mysteries concealed. That single advance was unlike any mystery revealed prior. Nature's building block, glue, and instruction book were sealed. Atoms, energy, the math you love, knowledge of them was hard-earned. Traditions of learning passed through the ages. Truth and fact discerned from lies and misconceptions. Books, John, books. While libraries were burned in the cataclysm, but books were preserved. Records of the past, John. The words contained in those books are secrets and mysteries passed in a haphazard tradition. By fate, chance, study, some are cast into the imagination of the author, page after page. Thought, idea, revelation. From the Bronze Age to the Space Age, cities and nations rose and fell. Traces of them scrawled on a page, buried for millennia, tell of their proud works of art and law, their gods, the things they'd buy and sell. Nature, numbers, shapes, and the law they create. M's library kept such books. They are acting to thaw the mental ice age that has kept civilization frozen cold. The centers of learning have slept long enough. You feel the hold of ignorance weakening. What does this have to do with some old, dusty town? We're stuck in a rut. The heart crash landed on our lap like a UFO undercut by God knows what. Maybe a gap in its harmonic EM wave, amp drive, hitting Earth like a slap to our sleeping face in the cave from which we were seeking egress in our dreams. I still need a shave and haircut, and I must confess some chalk would be swell. Coffee, too. Where was I? Oh yeah, I'll digress no more. I just gotta go see that place. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I say screw it. We're holding to nothing. Time is our playground. Our thoughts, our toys, our future, as bright as a line. And so they walked as men, not boys, bereft of family and home, but still able to share their toys as they tread over sand and loam, on their detour towards Roswell.